Hello, everybody. Sean Davis here for the Raptors Nation, your home for everything Raptors. Game day, fun day, bay. I don't know what that was. I should probably cut this out, but we're too far in, so I'm not going to. Join as always for the pod, Luca Rosano. Luca, we're gonna pretend I didn't have the worst intro of all time. How are you doing?
What's going?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. Raptors, they got the win over the Nuggets. And yeah, I mean, one team needed to win. You had the Raptors who were on a 3-game skid, taking on the Nuggets who were on a 3-game skid. And the Raptors obviously prevailed. So big win for them.
Yeah, absolutely. In a game where I'm honestly over here saying to myself, and look, I'm sure you're maybe thinking the same thing. When the Raptors, they were up big. I believe the lead might have got up to 20 at one point, maybe midway through the third, or maybe even at halftime. The Nuggets, they come back. They came back and made it a game. I believe the lead got cut down to 4, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly.
they came all the way
And
back. It was a 4-point game.
yeah. And I know I was thinking, I'm like, the Raptors, oh man, are they just like broken on the inside? And I'm sure you're probably thinking this too. Raptors buckled down and they outscore the Nuggets in the fourth quarter by 9, 27-18. The defense showed up when needed to the most. And they got the job done winning 125 to 110. Quick stat or box score here. Fred VanVleet having
Yeah.
one of those good Fred VanVleet games. The problem is, can you get a stretch of good Fred VanVleet games? Talk about a stretch from a player. Scotty Barnes and OG Anunoby have just been absolutely spectacular. Scotty, 18.7 rebounds, 5 assists on 8 for 16 shooting. OG, 24 points on 10 of 14 shooting. He also, hit 4 threes. Another just really frustrating game from Pascal Siakam is frustrating the right word to use. He's only scored 20 or more points once in the entire month of March. He's only scored 20 or more points once. But Scotty Barnes and OG Anunoby have stepped up in the month of March. So that's 6 games, 18 points, 6 boards, 4.8 assists, around a 5 assists for Scotty Barnes in 36 minutes. OG Anunoby, 19 and a half, so we can round up 20 points on 59% shooting from the floor. And get this, Luca, 45% from 3. These are two players that when they're playing like this, you're like, okay, show me. You want to be the guys to build around leading forward? Show us. And OG and Scotty right now are showing what they could do.
Yeah, a couple of things. First, the Raptors, they set a franchise record for most points in a first quarter. They absolutely came out guns a-blazing in this one. They really took it to a Denver Nuggets team that not only is slumping big time, but their defense just looks atrocious during their losing streak. Raptors put up 49 in the first quarter. And I knew from that quarter, okay, the Raptors are going to come to play. They're pissed off about losing to this team the way that they did just a week ago. But like you mentioned, Sean, no lead is safe with this team. At the back of my mind, I knew a run was eventually going to come from this Nuggets team, and that run came in the third quarter when the Nuggets outscored the Raptors 36-26. And like Sean mentioned, the Nuggets at one point cut this thing down to as little as 4 points. And when that happened, I think it was like midway through the fourth. I'm like, here it goes. Nuggets are going to come back. They're going to erase, I think it was, a 22, 24-point deficit, and they're going to win this game. But I got to give Fred VanVleet his flowers, man. He was dynamite in this one, particularly from 3. Hit a big-time 3 when the Nuggets were making their run. He had 8 threes in this game. Unbelievable. He was 8 of 12 from threes. Like, Fred VanVleet was on one. He had 36 points. And in my opinion, yeah, Raptors won this game because Fred had his classic Fred VanVleet game. And Raptors fans are saying to themselves, damn, I wish we got this Fred more often than not, because we know with Fred, he's been inconsistent this season. He could put up this big number in terms of points, but then he disappears. So it was good to see Fred VanVleet. Maybe, he got a boost from the home crowd, whatever it was, change of scenery. He was ready to go. He came through big in this one. Like you mentioned, it wasn't just him. OG Anunoby had another solid game, continuing on from what he did against the Lakers on Friday night. He had another solid outing from the field as well. Scotty Barnes, 18, 7, and 5. Can't ask for more. Gary Trent Jr., who had a goose egg against the Lakers. He responded nicely in this one, chipped in with 11. But yeah, one final takeaway I'll get into is Pascal Siakam. So I'll use the word frustrating because Pascal Siakam now, this is a couple of games where he has not looked himself. And the only reason why I'm going to use the word frustrating is if the Raptors want to get back into this thing, which by the way, me and Sean weren't a fan of them doing whatsoever in our last show, but if they are going to get back into this thing and stay in the play-in and move up in the standings, they're going to need Pascal Siakam to be a lot better than this. He has not been the Pascal Siakam that we have seen, and there's a lot of pressure on Siakam, rightfully so. He is the team's best player. He is the current franchise player. He's in line for a very big payday. People refer to him as a star and all NBA and all this stuff. He's got to play like that. And he's got to be the man who sets the tone on this Raptors team. You know, Fred VanVleet is not going to probably be able to keep this up. Unfortunately, I don't think OG may be able to keep this up. So the one constant needs to be Siakam. We said that with this team all season long. And if Siakam's not that one constant, then this team's just asking for trouble, especially when they got to take on a Thunder team Thursday night that has something to play for, a Timberwolves team Saturday night that has something to play for, a Bucks team next week trying to lock up that 1 seed. They're going to need Siakam in these next 3 games if they want to win. So overall, it was a good win, Sean, but I'm not going to overhype it because call me a hater or whatnot, but I think it was more about just the Nuggets being in a big slump than it was the Raptors winning this game, because the Nuggets, for as bad as they were, they still almost had a chance to win this game in the fourth quarter. And the Raptors, they did it again. I mean, they allowed the other team back in it. And like I said, luckily, Fred VanVleet was on one in this game. If he didn't hit big shots late, Raptors probably squander this game and they squander this lead. So I think the Raptors caught a break here. Probably was a little bit of karma too, as obviously the Monday night fiasco happened with Scott Foster. But yeah, the Nuggets are just playing very, very poorly right now. They do not look themselves. Raptors took advantage of it. It's a nice win, but it's against a very slumping Nuggets team. So let's see how the Raptors look now in their next game against the OKC Thunder, who are trending upwards right now.
Yeah, and let's talk about it. So SGA coming back, obviously, to Canada. It seems like he always plays well against the Raptors. Is that just me, Luke? I feel like he just kills the Raptors every single time. Is this the game where we see Pascal Siakam finally play well again?
They're going to need it. They really are. I mean, I'm not overlooking this Thunder team whatsoever. They're in the thick of things right now in the play-in. They need to win this game. This is a team that we talked about in our previous show of being a team that, yeah, you know what? It makes sense for them to get in and get some playoff experience for these young guys. So they're going to be motivated and ready to go. And you better believe Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's from the Hamilton, Ontario area here, he's going to have a ton of support. He's going to have probably a ton of family and friends at this game. And you're right, Sean. Every time he goes to work against the Raptors, it seems like he has a big game. And I can see Shai going for 30 in this one. And Siakam's going to have to combat that because you know Shai, he could play like a superstar. And they might very well get superstar play from Shai. So who's going to combat that on the Raptors? If VanVleet can't do what he did the other night, all eyes are going to be on Siakam. Can he go to work for the Raptors? That would be a big question mark. But I like this Thunder team a lot. I think they've exceeded everybody's expectations. And this is a very young team. They got so many good playmakers. And as long as Shai's playing, you got to give them a chance, a good chance in this one. The Raptors, although they will have the home court advantage, I believe the Raptors have won their last 4 home games in a row. So they're going to have that going for them. So it should be an entertaining game. I expect it to go down to the wire. Raptors are going to need all hands on deck. Like I mentioned, Siakam's going to need to be better. They're going to need Fred to come through, not as much as he did last game, but they need a solid Fred outing, and they need Scotty Barnes and OG Anunoby. Remember, you got to get multiple guys on this Raptors team to contribute in big ways if you want to win, to make up for their dreadful bench. So, yeah, should be a good one. And Raptors, I mean, this is a must-win for both teams, right? This is actually a really important matchup for both of these teams who are currently battling for play-in positioning. So expect a good one.
Yeah, it's a must-win. The Raptors need it. I feel maybe a tad bit more. But both teams definitely need this one. The Raptors, in terms of play-in situation, I know me and Luca both kind of expressed our thoughts on how we wouldn't mind per se if the Raptors, just suddenly dropped to 11th and when the time came around for the plan. But the Raptors, as of right now, they are still ninth. They would host the first playing game. They're one game up on the Wizards as of right now. I do believe Washington plays today as well. No, they do not. So, regardless of how today shapes out, the Raptors will still be in ninth. The Pacers play, so keep an eye on a Pacers game. The Pacers, they play Milwaukee, so Milwaukee's probably going to win that game. So, yeah, regardless of how the Raptors Thunder game goes, hopefully it's the Raptors win. The Raptors will be in ninth regardless, even if they win, because the Hawks would have a half a game lead on the Raptors. I'm curious to see what Nick Nurse can do schematically against Shea. Obviously, a different player than Anthony Davis, but we saw what he could do against a top 10 player, yet face another borderline top 10 player. The Lakers offense allows for what Nick did against the Lakers to work really, really well because AD does have the ball in his hands a ton, right? When AD gets his points, a lot of it is finishing the play. He's not like an Embiid even or like a Jokic where the play most of the time starts off with him. So I'm curious to see how, again, different position too. I'm curious to see what Nick Nurse can do with SGA, who's the play starter and oftentimes the play finisher. Try to see if you can take him out the game and let Lou Dort beat you. I don't know.
Who's also Canadian, by the way. So there's going to be a lot of Canadian representation in this one. And there's going to be a lot of people in the fans hoping for the Thunder to win this one. But I want to actually backtrack and just go over why Sean and I were big advocates for the Raptors to, maybe fall out of this thing and wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. You look at both these teams, two entirely different contexts, right? Thunder, like we just said, if they get in, they've never been there before. Some of these guys, that would be meaningful playoff basketball to go up against, the Nuggets, the Kings, the Grizzlies, and let's call it for what it is. I mean, the Thunder in a series against the Nuggets, with the way that the Nuggets have been playing lately, I mean, that wouldn't be so much of a wrap for the Nuggets as you would think. The Thunder could probably make that thing interesting. Whereas for the Raptors standpoint, they fight hard. They win these games. They get in. All right, here they go. Who do they got to play? They got to play the Bucks or the Celtics. Nobody is picking the Raptors to win that series, and it's not a matter of giving these guys the reps because they have the reps. So you would essentially just screw yourself over when it comes to the draft, and you would just sacrifice, potentially a high draft pick for what? To save yourself, make the play and make the playoffs, and then just get, ousted in 4 or 5 in the first round. So it just doesn't make sense in a big picture standpoint. Now, I know people who want to win and want to see a winning product won't agree with that, but guys who look ahead and see this team for face value, they know. I mean, the Raptors, if they stack together these wins, does it really matter in the grand scheme of things? Probably not, but hey, we'll see what happens. We'll see if the Raptors do give it their all, but I mean, yeah, them beating the Nuggets doesn't change my opinion or mine. I mean, this team should still, take these games casually. And I would not be an upset Raptors fan if the Raptors did all of a sudden fall out of this thing. But I think they will get in just because of how bad the Wizards and the Bulls are. And I just think those two teams have been super, super inconsistent, although the Bulls have won 2 in a row. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. But the play beneath the Raptors hasn't been good.
Yeah. And that I understand why, if you're a Raptors fan and you're listening to Lucas say all that, it could sound really bad from the standpoint of, why would you root for your own team to lose or not even lose? Yeah, lose, honestly. And here's to kind of wrap up the show or whatever. 2 quick points. I reference this a lot. You don't want to become the Pittsburgh Steelers in the standpoint of they're so the Steelers that it's actually more a joke now. Like, Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season. So therefore the Steelers have never had a losing season under Mike Tomlin where they have been actually bad. Don't let 9-8 fool you. They were bad this year. They were bad last year. But them just staying it's a little bit different too, because that's almost 2 decades worth, right? This is 3 years worth or whatever, right? And the Raptors just missed the playoffs 2 years ago, so like, come on. But the Steelers, while so heavily being bought in on the nope, we're gonna have a winning season, and those winning seasons being 9-8, you just barely missed the playoffs. You're in the NFL, your draft pick is 17 or whatever, and you're out of range of getting a quarterback, right? Which has been a need. They got it now. Kenny Pickett, see how he pans out. My point is, or whatever, with the Raptors, like Luca just said, you make the play-in, you make the playoffs, you're the 8th seed. So math, the worst pick you could get is what, 16? Or the best pick you could get is like 16, 17, something like that?
Exactly. You'd be the middle of the draft, essentially.
You'd be in the middle of the draft, right? By and large, and like Luca just said, you're not beating Milwaukee, you're not beating Boston, you're not beating Philly. Your best shot is a Cavs series, and that's impossible until the earliest the second round. And Philly's honestly impossible at this point too, until the earliest the second round.
Yeah, you're not getting the 6 seed.
Right. So you're getting ousted in 4 or 5 games. So you just made the playoffs, screwed your draft selection to get ousted in 4 games. And I'll end my point on this. Raptor fans are listening and are frustrated at what we're saying about the Raptors and why they should tank, essentially, right now. You look at this team right now, I dare you to say this team currently constructed can win a title. They can't. They can't. Yeah. I'm a little lower still on Philly than I think some people are, but they are not beating Philly. They are not beating the Cavs even, I think, in a 7-game series. There are 4 – I go a step further. I say Miami and New York are currently in better spots to win the title right now with their current team than the Raptors are. So they're not winning a title with this current team. So why keep going forward in postponing the process where you don't even have to go full rebuild? You can let Fred walk. You go get a top 10 draft pick. You can trade Pascal. My vote is for another top 5, 6, 7 pick or whatever, because I look at a team that's within your own conference, but I look at a team like Indiana, maybe, like Detroit even, maybe. Like, you could say, hey, look, you got Cade, you got Jaden, Pascal, third option. Here, give us that top 5 pick. Trade Pascal, let Fred walk, do whatever you want with Gary, and you build around potentially 2 top 10 picks, Scotty Barnes, OG, Jakob Poeltl, boom, you're set. There we go. I'm ending my plane right there. Raptors, don't be the Steelers. Go be, what's an NFL example like sucking for 1 year? Go be the 49ers. Literally. Or wait, what? No, that's a bad one. There were injuries. I don't know. Chat, let me know.
I can't. Don't be the Blazers of the NBA. Put it that way.
Don't be the Blazers.
Don't be a team stuck in the middle.
Don't be the Wizards
who find themselves in the same spot year in and year out. So, yeah, look, I mean, we're going to probably have to rename this podcast to the, tanking Raptors pod, because obviously me and Sean are on that tank hype train. But look, you said something there that a lot of Raptors fans could be upset with what you're saying. No, there's a good portion of Raptors fans, Sean, that are starting to be realistic and see the value of potentially dropping these games and getting a better draft position on the draft board. And I mean, what you just outlined there sounds pretty enticing. Now, I do want to quickly recap the Raptors' final games here, because if you are a tank commander like Sean and I, you're probably going to like that the Raptors have a pretty difficult schedule to close out their season. They have the toughest remaining schedule, and let's go through it really quickly. They got the Thunder. They got the Timberwolves. They got the Bucks.
Go ahead and lose. I don't care.
They got the Pacers, who have something to play for. They have the Pistons, who won't have anything to play for, so that's like a gimme. They have the Wizards, who have something to play for. They have the Heat, who will have something to play for. They got the Sixers, who will have something to play for. The Hornets, that's a gimme. That's a gimme, but probably not. I can see the Raptors honestly dropping one of those 2 games, because it's hard to sweep a team in back-to-backs, right? It's like a playoff series. Celtics have something to play for. Celtics, again, who will have something to play for. And the Bucks might not have something to play for on April 9th, the final game of the season, only because at that point they'll probably have wrapped up the 1 seed. But who knows? I mean, the Celtics could make it interesting down the stretch. They're only 3 games back. So in theory, the Raptors' next upcoming opponents all have something to play for, except for 2 teams. Pistons once, and then you got the Hornets twice. So that's 3 games. out of the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 left. Wait, did I do that right? 6, 8, 10,
Something
12,
like that.
13 games left. So
Raptors.
it's tough. It's going to be tough. For as nice as that win against the Nuggets was, I think they just caught the Nuggets at a bad spot, but it's going to be tough because, yeah, you're going to have teams that are going to come to play. I mean, the Timberwolves almost just came back to beat the Celtics like an hour ago of this recording. So Raptors are going to have their work cut out for them. But the only silver lining, I think, for the Raptors, they've been playing a lot better lately at home. So we'll see.
Raptors. Look, if you guys lost every game, I really wouldn't care. Just beat the Thunder and beat the Timberwolves. Thank you guys for tuning into the Raptors Nation podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. Until next time, stay safe. We'll see you guys next time. Peace out.